You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
Pour one out for old Jim. And welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 210. I am one of your co-hosts, no longer ISO Christian, but underscore ISO Christian. Christian Macias, and I'm joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan, PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
Rest in peace, ISO Christian. We'll miss him.
We'll miss him. Follow my new Twitter account, everyone.
He's only got 6 followers. It's embarrassing.
I have 8. I'm almost at double digits. All right,
let's go.
Twitter. So I found out Twitter thinks I'm a bot, and it won't notify people when I follow them.
That is true, because I didn't
yeah.
see you follow me. Yeah,
Me neither.
Yep.
In Twitter's defense, what do your likes look like? I'm just curious.
Liverpool, movie news. That's about it.
Okay, that's better. That's better than expected.
you know how to fix that, Christian? $7.
That's true.
No, if I give them any more information, they'll know who I am. Be like, hey, this is the guy we banned.
That's true.
I can't do 2-factor authentication. Anyway, the president of the D. Foot Lockhart fan club, especially this week, he's the Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire at Roro.
Hi.
Oh yeah. And one half of the Men and Gitch podcast, Battlefield's bad boy, the Tarkov Teletubby himself, Gage Dempster.
Hola.
Quick housekeeping, just for me, for the listeners. I'm sick. I still sound congested. It's been 11 days or so. I'm doing my best. So if you hear me cough throughout the stream, or you're questioning why I sound the way I sound, that's why. Anyway,
You sound good. I'm
Thank
just
you.
gonna say it.
Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN. We're also streaming simultaneously on twitch.tv/podcastpxn. The topic of the show this week is Jim Ryan retires from PlayStation. Allegedly. But first, the show always starts with the quick bites. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're here. That feel good? You like that? Quick bites for the week. Here's something for you all Division freaks. The Ubisoft has announced the Division 3 with Massive Entertainment set to lead development. Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Garrigny has also been named as the new executive producer for the Division series. Talk about a fanfare announcement, guys.
Yeah. Everybody's losing their mind, foaming at the mouth. Hell yeah.
Massive is making literally all the games for Ubisoft now, I guess. This is their
What else are
third
they
game.
making?
Outlaws, Avatar,
Right,
and
well-
now this. Yeah.
Hey, which by the way, I cut a little bit of video clip from the Avatar gameplay that was at last week's. What was it at?
State of play?
Well,
Yeah.
Was it a state of play? Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what? Doesn't look that bad. I think this game visually looks a lot better than Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, that's what we said last week, I think, actually.
All right.
Verbatim.
Well, hey, I wasn't
No,
here.
you're-
I'm sorry.
No,
I still
but
have not
we're
listened.
we're of one mind.
Yes, exactly.
One mind, yes.
And we all agree for
Yeah.
once. You know who's not agreeing? Oh, wait, that's too soon. Save that thought. The UK regulator, who are the CMA, has provisionally approved Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. They said the CMA has remained the last major roadblock, but says that Microsoft's offer to sell cloud rights to Ubisoft, quote, opens the door to the deal being cleared, unquote. A matter of time. A matter of time. We'll see.
Fingers
Finally
crossed.
over.
Yeah.
Almost.
Almost there.
Almost. Dan, you spoke too soon. I'm going to throw this in there as well. The U.S. FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has confirmed plans to proceed with its in-house challenge to Microsoft's planned acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So while things are moving forward in the UK, in the U.S., not so much. Epic. Yeah. I know the judge was very much not on the side of the FTC, but they still want to challenge it further. I know they can, right?
Yeah.
Show up time. Yeah, we'll see. we've got to talk about Unity one more time. I know you guys talked about it last week. However, we have actual official news. Last week, we ended with Unity saying, "We hear you. We're going to go back to the table and come up with something." And in that time, they did come up with something. A very lengthy letter apologizing for all the wrongdoings they did, because their monetization plan was god awful, especially for developers. And essentially, they're just walking it back completely. And I don't question any of the devs who are canceling future releases on Unity, and I know some of them have, and who are skeptical about the future of Unity or working with them, because now that they've done it once, who's to say, down the line they could do something else again.
Right.
To be wary of it is 100%, I think, apt.
Totally. Yeah.
Well-
I go for it, Gage.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, I just agree that trust, I think, is definitely broken. And even if they don't cancel games that are upcoming, they may not use the platform ever again, and they just switch from here out and use something else. So it's good that they're reversing it, but like a lot of people are saying, the damage is probably already done. But we'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar on the lines of Ro, but I mean, this wasn't even like a leaked memo of something that they were planning to do that got leaked. Like, this is something that they tried to pass. So it's just what Rose said, but just to the nth degree of this is definitely trust has been broken. And if I was somebody who was trying to get a start in this, and yeah, I would be switching. And I don't blame a lot of developers for switching.
I just think this is also funny. The person from Unity that was making that statement is Mark Whitten, who is one of the original Xbox engineers on Xbox Live, and he was famously around for the Xbox One fiasco, and then left shortly thereafter. So I thought that was kind of funny. Cool.
What am I spelling right now? I'll do it one more time.
It's something that's not TOS appropriate.
T B
TV. Remember that?
Oh,
that
TV.
super
Okay,
quick.
yes.
TV.
Yeah.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty.
Forza. TV.
Yeah.
TV. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Throwback.
Next
That's
quick bite.
amazing.
Yeah. Bayonetta and Wonderful 101 director Hideki Kamiya has announced that he is leaving Platinum Games. Company's vice president said he made the decision after a lot of consideration based upon his own beliefs. He put out in that same tweet, it goes on to say, it was by no means an easy decision to make. He added, however, I feel this outcome is for the best. I will continue to create in my Hideki Kamiya way. I hope you'll keep your eyes peeled. What an insane thing to end your I'm leaving this company, and then keep your eyes out for news from me soon. He's very much, I think, working on something else for someone else, or on something else. A future project is upcoming from him, and it seems like Platinum Games is just no longer the home for him.
Good luck to the communications person that has to deal with him next. Because fucking
Right.
He literally followed up these tweets with his underwear, a big giant hole in his underwear, and he's like, "Wow, I didn't realize the hole in my underwear is so big." Oh, all right.
We should all be tweeting like this man. I'm gonna keep it real. Or
It's a
maybe not,
wild
unless you
card.
want to get banned.
Yeah.
True. Hideki does have Twitter Blue, so
Oh, goddamn.
or he's just verified. I don't know.
Guys, we're gonna have the one good Sony news right now in the quick bites. Sony is offering new PS5 owners a free first-party game in the US if you buy it now before October 20th. You buy a PlayStation, you activate it for the first time, you're able to claim one of these games, the following 12 of them, I'll read them out loud. Marvel, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man Remaster. I think you get those together. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Demon's Souls, The Last of Us Part 1, that's the remake that just came out, Sackboy Big Adventure, Returnal, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, which I think has 4 games in it. Maybe 2? No, Legacy of Thieves I think is Uncharted 4, and then the one with Chloe and Nadine, I'm blanking on the name. Lost Legacy. And then lastly is Death Stranding Director's Cut. So if you don't have a PS5 yet, which I don't think is anyone on this podcast or anyone who listens.
Yeah. If you
There you
guys, I feel like most of us have played most of these games, but if you hadn't, which one of these games would you choose?
Yes.
Like if you were a first timer, like that's a hard list for me
Easy.
to decide on. Huh? What'd you say?
Easy.
Tell me.
Easy.
Easy.
God of War
Which one?
Ragnarok, because A,
Okay.
it's the newest one on this list, I believe, and B, it's a very long, great game. And it's
I was
the
gonna
other
say-
ones are probably you could pick up on sale probably.
It's
Like
true,
Spider-Man,
yeah.
for instance, both of
Yeah.
those you could probably. get
That's a
on
good
sale.
point. That's probably the one that's at full price right now, or for the longest.
Yeah.
I think that, and I'm not me myself. I'm thinking about who is not a PS5 owner. I think there's a lot of people who have watched the Last of Us show and are wanting to get into the Last of
That's
Us.
fair.
If they do pick up a PS5, I think The Last of Us Part 1 is a great pick. Otherwise, if I had never had a PS4 before, I mean, The Last of Us would be a good one, but I wouldn't probably pick God of War because I didn't play the original. If I'm in their shoes, I would probably pick Spider-Man because Spider-Man 2 is upcoming.
I think I would pick Spider-Man 2 as well.
I think it's funny. I think personally I would bounce between Last of Us and God of War, but I think Dan's right on the money with in terms of value. Now again, you might not know that as you wouldn't necessarily know which game is the longest, but like yeah, looking at it through that lens, I feel like God of War is probably the best value just in terms of how long and also good the game is. But yeah, I mean at the end of the day, this is a great list. Like these are really great things to have to choose from, right? I mean, I feel like yeah, Last of Us Part 1, Spider-Man, or God of War Ragnarok, all fantastic games. And if you're just getting that with your console, I mean, you're going to be busy for a while, no matter what you pick.
The weirdest thing about this is the arbitrary by October 20th. I think what would have been great is to extend that into the holiday sales of like, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and into the Christmas season. That's when a lot of people are getting PS5s for the first time, not before Halloween. I think doing something like that would have been one more incentive.
I think that's the point, though, because they want to sell consoles now, and then they already know they're going to sell consoles in the holiday rush, so they don't.
Sure, no, yeah, and yeah.
Interesting.
I know. I get their business, Dan, but I would want, I don't know, do something cool for once.
I
Be the
agree.
good guy.
Yeah.
Here's some disgusting news. A listing for a Nintendo Switch version of Red Dead Redemption 2 has been spotted on the Brazilian ratings board website. I'm gonna say right now, I don't know how this game will run on Nintendo Switch. I've seen Mortal Kombat 1 running. I mean, it runs fine.
Does it?
Graphical fidelity wise, I don't know.
Think of
RDR2
how
is
many-
so like sophisticated. Like all the systems in that game. Can the
I was gonna
Switch
say how
handle
many
that?
fewer systems are in the Mortal Kombat. Like it is literally a
Oh, that too.
like
Yeah, sure.
such a focused game, which is fine. It's a niche game. It's supposed to be like that, but like I don't know. You think of all the sub mechanics and mechanics within mechanics in Red Dead, and also on my bingo card, I did not have Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to Nintendo Switch before Xbox Series X or PS5. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
That's a good point. There's no new gen version of that. of that
There
game,
is
there?
not.
Yeah.
If you are on the PlayStation family of consoles, you cannot play that game outside of 30 frames per second, no matter what you do.
Woo!
Sorry.
Oh, I forgot to include this. I'll just say it now. Metal Gear Solid Collection, which is MGS1, MGS2, MGS3, I think is locked at 30 and also at 1080p, which is just thinking.
On Switch or in general? Because I thought it was
In
just
general.
MGS1 that was locked to 30 on everything.
I don't remember. I can't access the PXN chat anymore than the past ones.
I gotcha.
But I know one of them is 30 FPS, and then the other games aren't 4K though. I think they're still 1080, right? 1080 60 maybe.
1080
MGS2 and
yes.
MGS3.
Yes.
Which a lot of people were complaining about, and yeah, I think if you're going to do the hard work to do a remaster in this way, it's like, come on, with these, we should probably be pushing for 60, 4K if you can do it.
Which is weird. Why would the first game be limited? I guess the only thing I could think of is they don't want to touch all the animations. Maybe all the animations are already set to 30. Yeah.
That's probably what it is. I think Bloodborne is similar. Is why that game
Isn't
is
that a
still
little
30.
bit of like a self-report though? Because if you're gonna sell it at a price that it's been worked on, and it's like, well, why
Yeah.
can't we have these features? Oh, well, we didn't want to retouch them. Well, okay, but you're selling a new product, so you kind of have to. I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of like gray area, chicken and egg kind of thing happening there, but
Hey, I'm with you. I'm just glad I can play them again though.
right.
but you're right.
You're just a simple man. Yeah.
Here's some good news. Members of the U.S. Actors Union of SAG-AFTRA have voted in favor of a potential video game strike action. They voted 98% in favor of strike authorization regarding the interactive media agreement, which covers work on video games. There was a speculation this was going to happen the past 2 to 3 weeks, and it seems like it's going to happen, which is good. I know the WGA on the movie side and movie and TV, they have a tentative agreement for the next 3 years. Actors, SAG, movie side, not yet. But it's long past due that video game work is also recognized as very difficult, and they should be getting paid.
Welcome to the fight, brothers.
Yes. We're going to move on to EA. EA has lost its FIFA license, finally, which means that they now delisted all the FIFA back catalogs from digital storefronts, which is a huge bummer. Those games are just nowhere to be found if you didn't buy them. You just can't buy them anymore on digital storefronts. And so the move coincides with the release of the first EA Sports FC game, which is not doing very well, critically.
Oh, really?
Oof. It's a bummer.
Middling.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I guess, is that to be expected from FIFA games? Are they usually?
That's why I say
just,
it's underperforming relative to the other releases.
I guess I would assume so. And I believe that them losing all the FIFA game, or us losing all the FIFA games from storefronts, kind of sucks. But I feel like the biggest complaint that these games have are that they're all the same.
Right.
So maybe,
and that is
not
the
losing too
complaint
much.
of this one,
there
bro.
we go.
That it's that for a big substantial name change like EA Sports FC 24 to be doing something like this, it would denote big changes and something that just feels a bit more like an evolution of the series, and it just feels like a lot more of the same. So the question is, why do this at all?
Right.
So here's the last 4 FIFA games Open Critic. FIFA 21 had a 72 Open Critic. FIFA 22, 78. FIFA 23, 76. And FC 24 is at 77. So it does seem like they're just kind of strolling.
Plateauing.
Right.
Yeah. But
More
I've
of the same, but if you
enjoyed
like FIFA, yeah.
Football.
This one goes out to Dan. Sorry. Gage. This one goes out to Dan. Master Chief's armor and grab hammer have been added to Rainbow Six Siege. So it seems like Dan is going to get back into the fight on Rainbow Six.
Oh, yes, let's go. Of course, this was leaked a month and a half ago. So if it wasn't leaked, this would have been so fucking badass because the trailer was really cool. I like the trailer. But yeah, I'm fucking down. Going back in as Sledge, Master Chief. Let's do this.
I gotta buy that game again because my PS4 copy is a disc, and I don't have a disc version PS5, so I have to buy it again. Hey, we should get into party animals, by the way.
Yes.
We should.
We played, some of us played until 4 a.m. one night.
We did. With
Christian is hurt.
with my group of
Oh, did you
IRL
play?
friends.
No, I don't have the game.
Brother, I waited for you for 3 hours.
Oh,
You were nowhere to be found.
okay. If that was this weekend, then I was sick. That's fine. Never mind. It's my own damn
It
fault.
was when it came out. When was that? Last weekend?
No, that was this Friday, wasn't it?
Friday. It was Friday.
Was it?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
still very sick.
Okay.
I kind of had a feeling that's what was going on too, so I wasn't really worried about it.
Last quick bite. Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition, not Director's Cut, has been announced for PS5 and PC. Title is coming to console next week and will make its PC debut in 2024. The big question is, when are we doing this for The Last of Us Part 2? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Nice, dude. All right, if no one's answering, I'm just going to move on to Street Meat. Here we go. Far Cry 7. You've been waiting for it. This comes from Insider Gaming. We got some first Far Cry 7 details. Your family gets kidnapped by a conspiracy group, and you have 72 in-game hours, 24 about IRL, to save them. You don't need to save them in a specific order, and they can be killed, which has an impact on the story. And honestly, that sounds a little bit interesting.
Yep. I was reading the thoughts and opinions of people, and somebody put it up really, really good, where they're like, the last few Far Cry games, like this sounds like something that's totally not expected from Far Cry, but might just be the jab in the arm that this franchise needs, because it's definitely been plateauing and stagnating the last couple of games. I remember Far Cry 3, lots of buzz about it, really great villains. I loved it. I thought it was great. And 4 was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of doing the same thing. And then 5 is like, oh, right. It just kind of has that downward momentum where this sounds pretty good. And more importantly, like we talked about on last week's episode with the Crew Motorfest, is that this is also switching to Snowdrop, which has been visually a very impressive engine. Yeah. Really good engine. And I think that's maybe why Massive is making everything, is because they were the first to master it with the original Division. That was obviously the Ubisoft's debut game on Snowdrop. And those games have, like I said, like when you look at like the Ubisoft slate of games, the Division always seems like just a little bit of a higher caliber. So I wonder if that's why they're now working Massive into the grave with giving them all of the projects. But anyways, yeah, this switching to Snowdrop is kind of the biggest takeaway for me. I'm like, this will be a gorgeous game.
Remember how good the Division 1 looked, like New York in the snow in winter?
Compare it to other games that came out, like even its final gameplay. Like it does. Snowdrop is really impressive.
Yeah. All right.
Far Cry Rise Up.
Is that the working title that we're thinking?
That's what it says. That. Yeah.
Well, we're still a far cry from the release of this game. So before then, we'll go into the PXN news of the week. We got some Star Wars news for you, all you Star Wars freaks. Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis in the Star Wars Jedi games, confirms he is currently working on a third Star Wars Jedi game. And now the big question is, Respawn, will it launch with no bugs?
No, incorrect.
It will not.
Follow-up question, will you be able to run it on your mismatched hardware because it's your fault?
Follow question: who's directing this game?
Yes, because the director of Respawn recently left after last week. Yeah,
the director Stig of both Star Wars Jedi games.
Yeah.
It's 3 a.m.
This may be good.
It's 3 a.m. There's a knock at Vince Zampella's door. I got bad news for you, buddy. You got one more project we need you to take care of.
What is Vince Zampella doing now?
Everything.
Yeah. He
Battlefield.
He oversees a bunch of EA
Apex
studios
Legends.
now.
There's a rumor that they're doing a Titanfall thing. And now Jedi
Which I played
Fallen Order 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Stig did say originally that the Jedi games were going to be a trilogy. He said that the story was best illustrated as a trilogy, so it's not surprising. But
I'm going to keep it another buck with you. Am I crazy for thinking Jedi Survivor came and went? People called this game like Game of the Year material, and then like a week later, never spoke about it again.
Is that the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, you're totally right. In like an eerie sense, it came and went. The first one got buzz for a long time afterwards. I remember I eventually checked it out, and I was like, I don't understand what the hype's about, and that's just me personally. But the second one, came and gone. Absolutely.
Dan says no. You didn't even finish it.
No, I was reacting to his comment about the first game. But yes, I've only played about 2 hours of the second game. Unfortunately.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I
would like
Dan?
to play more. What?
Don't even worry about it. It's the year of fun. You know? Remember this.
Yeah.
It's the year of fun.
This is the year of Party Pummel and Party Animals. Or Pummel Party, whichever one.
Yeah, there you go.
Whichever you prefer.
Should we get like lit and play that game soon?
Yep.
Or either of the one? Party Animals?
Both. Why not both?
I'll buy it on Steam tonight, dude. I can't play tonight, but I'll buy it tonight. All right, we got some terrible Sony news. The good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the bad. A ransomware group has claimed to have breached all Sony systems, and I'll tell you what, all of us PlayStation owners are getting flashbacks to the late aughts here. However, in reality, the only evidence they've shown is a login page, a PowerPoint, and about 6,000 files. So it seems like there may not be an entire truth to this, and Sony is currently investigating whatever that means. We'll see if we get some free games down the line, because if it's true, they already got my credit card information. Guess I'll change my password. We should all change our passwords.
Yeah, Hopefully this is not widespread like the last one.
Hopefully it is,
Spider-Man's
because then we
coming.
get more things to talk about.
No.
And here's
Spider-Man, you say Spider-Man? No.
Yeah, Spider-Man's around the corner. Don't mess anything up.
yeah,
Just leave it alone. Just
Mm.
leave it alone.
PSN goes down the day that Spider-Man comes out, and you have to
Could you imagine it
install.
goes down for another like 3 weeks too
Y-
in today's
that
era?
was-
Yeah, you have to install a day one patch to play it, and you can't.
Exactly. Oh
I
my
really
God.
have like a nostalgia for that like month because it was like over 30 days. And
It
I
was.
remember
It was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember finding out that like I can still access Netflix by going in and then hitting cancel before finishing something, and it would somehow bypass, and I could watch Netflix even though the PSN was down.
Interesting.
You know,
That's
no,
wild.
it sucked. I'm
What a-
sorry, it
What a
sucked.
time to be alive.
Oh, I can't play Call of Duty with my friends.
Guess I'll have to go outside.
It sounds trivial, and like for the first few days it was, but like when you're going into like week 2 and they still haven't figured this out, like it was kind of a crazy time.
And they didn't even talk, like they didn't say what was going on.
No,
It took them forever
Everything's
to like,
fine.
admit it. What the fuck is going on?
could you imagine
Yeah.
if Jim Ryan was the CEO then? Oh my god, that'd be great.
Oh, whoops! We had a cable unplugged here.
Right, but also nothing's
It-
wrong.
Yeah,
There's some fucking white boy in Kentucky named Daniel Prindle who was hacking PSN. I almost said PXN.
PSN. Fuck.
Both.
I wish I'd have all those credit cards.
Get that Cortana fleshlight on the way.
Whoa. Right.
Dan's like,
We
they
got
make
s-
those?
Do they? Should we find
I
out?
don't know.
Well, let me
No.
look it
We'll move
up
on to our
here.
next. Move on to our next item. This is specifically for Ro. People played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Critics are largely very impressed with it. There are, I think, I've seen very few minor little critiques. I know Tim Geddes was like not loving the demo, but still very excited for the game. So I linked here, I think it was from Okami Games, a list of details from the demo. And I'll just read them as quickly as I can. Performance mode and graphics mode is confirmed for the release of the game. The game will come on 2 discs. We knew this. 150 gigabyte total. Rebirth, same action-packed combat as the first game, with the synergy system being the major new addition. You can parry. You can now parry in this game. Parrying is cool for the way that, you know, I like action games. Swimming is confirmed. Jump in the water. I know you can play as Sephiroth. Crafting is also confirmed. You can't craft healing items like potions in Phoenix Downs, however. Main story for Rebirth will be about 40 hours, a little longer than the first game. Every character now has a dodge by default. Exploration seems to be a big highlight. If you spot a pirate ship in the distance, you can swim to it and find secret treasure. Whoa! You can hit R1 to call your chocobo in the open world. Chocobos can swim, fly, scale mountains, sniff out buried treasure, and more. If you spot a baby chocobo, follow it to unlock a fast travel point and some new cosmetics for your mount. Story will end at the Forgotten Capital if you've played the original Final Fantasy VII. Red 13 is now fully playable with a unique combat system. That's the dog. Whatever that creature is.
The red dog thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and Vincent confirmed to join the party in a similar way to Red 13 in the last game. Rebirth looking to be a Game of the Year contender for a lot of people. I don't think for me, but Ro, how are you feeling?
I am super excited. I love what I saw from the previews. It being more of the same Final Fantasy isn't real, or more of the same remake Final Fantasy isn't really a downside to me if they're adding all like this entire open world with exploration and stuff like that. That is totally fine with me. Just if the combat stays the same, that is fine because the combat was perfect in the first game. But it seems like they're improving like a few things, and it does look like a lot of fun to me. The chocobo riding looks really like, just the story looks to be super goofy. Like there's a sequence that I saw where Cloud is like dashing towards a boss, and then there's like a dolphin that bounces out of the water, and he looks at the dolphin knowingly like, okay, we're going to do a combo now. And the dolphin splashes out. He jumps on top of the dolphin, kills the boss, and he's like, hell yeah, dolphin, good job. Like that's totally normal. But that's the sort of shit that I like about Final Fantasy, that it balances that goofiness with the serious, oh my god, the world is ending sort of stuff. and they seem to be doing that. So I am totally fine with everything that I've seen so far.
Does Gage care at all? There was one time in the PXN chat, Gage asked, "Is the combat turn-based?" And we all said no. And you said, And that was the end of that.
But that was for but there's 30 of them at one time, so I don't know which one's which. But I'm pretty sure that was for the fantasy themed one. That was like up in the. It was not the remake,
16?
which is what we're talking about now. I think, yeah, maybe is that it? I don't know.
16's cool with Clive.
Yeah, I guess.
And all,
Sure.
and all
Owen?
the dominance. Clive Owen. That's funny.
I think he would like
kinda funny.
16 better than 7 based on the story.
Yeah, 7 looks a little out there for me.
Yeah.
But no, like but even 7, when I see gameplay, I'm like, but that's all it takes for me is like the moment to moment gameplay, which is in my opinion the most important thing of the game. It's like, yeah, then if I like that, then it's easier for me to get on board with everything else. So maybe, I don't know. I might give one of these a go.
So is this going to be a 3-parter? Is there a third one after this then?
There was rumors that I think they said there would be a 3-parter, and there was speculation as to what the final. It probably would follow the R trend of 7/7R. End of thought.
Yeah. Apparently there's going to I've heard that too, that there's going to be 3. I still need to play the original, but a lot of people think
You absolutely need to, because this is not a remake. It's like a separate timeline.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to bounce off from. Like the third game may be like completely new content if they continue this trend where it's like completely branching off from what the original was, which could be really
cool. Yeah, Dan, just for clarification, when they announced Rebirth and at the end of FF7 Remake, Sephiroth is acting in a way that's like, is this actually a remake? And it seems like signs are pointing towards like, no, it seems like it's like a redo of the same like timeline, with Sephiroth being kind of aware that Final Fantasy VII technically already occurred. There's some timeline funniness happening, or seemingly happening. Yeah,
I like that.
Think about it. We're gonna move on over into Alan Wake 2 impressions, and I'm gonna say it right now. I've been waiting to say this for the last, 35 minutes. I think I'm officially more excited for Alan Wake 2 than I am Spider-Man 2, and I'm not afraid to say it out loud. Whoa. So let's go ahead and look at some Alan Wake.
You should be a little bit afraid. That's kind of wild. That's a wild thing to say.
I'll fire your ass right now, Ro, with my sick ass. Okay, here we go. Journos got to play Alan Wake 2 this week, or who knows when they played it, but impressions are up this week. And similarly, I have a list of preview notes from Okami Games, which it's always nice. This guy gathers a lot of thoughts and kind of puts them into a tweet. So I'm going to be reading those. A lot of exciting stuff. Okami Games writes that it's looking up like it's shaping up to be an amazing survival horror experience with tense atmosphere, deep story, and cutting-edge visuals, as we all know Remedy can provide. One of the most next-gen looking games yet, so the graphical fidelity of this game is supposed to be very impressive, which is exciting. There's a big focus on narrative, which the player can actively shape. Again, we know that this game has the Mind Palace. We're also playing with Alan Wake, and then the new character, I'm forgetting her name, I'm sorry, but she's the FBI character. Combat is tense and deliberate, with each enemy posing a bigger challenge than the original. It's very exciting for me. You can play Alan or Saga, that's her name, Saga's missions in any order. Big focus on environmental puzzle solving. Optional puzzles are littered around the world with powerful rewards. Alan's angel lamp can absorb light and rewrite reality around you, unlocking new paths. Live action scenes return, giving more backstory. Unlock them by lining up echoes found in the world. Movement is slower and more methodical. It's a big F yes from me. Similar to Resident Evil, the remake of the games, or Silent Hill. Very cool. You can hold the touchpad to immediately enter the Mind Palace / Writer's Room, an interactive pause menu where you can piece together clues and leads. Just a very cool system that I can't wait to, I think, dive deeper into. Safe rooms are in the game with save points and storage chests for your limited inventory space, but it can be upgraded. The setting of Bright Falls features lots of environmental storytelling, lore bits, and local drama from the residents. And of course, performance mode is confirmed for the Xbox Series X, as well as PlayStation 5. And there is a headline from an article, I think it was from Inverse. It might have not been, it might have been someone else, but they said that Alan Wake 2 is what you get when Remedy really believes in themselves. And it's seeming to be like a AAA game, the likes we've never seen from them before. I am so stoked. All their influences, everything they're doing about survival horror, the narrative. I love Remedy narratives. This is gonna be a really cool game, man. I can't wait.
This is, yeah, I'm 100% on board with you, Christian. This is awesome. Like, I love every single bit of this. And when they first announced it, I think we were there, right? When they first announced it at
Game
the
Awards?
Game Awards.
No,
Yeah,
we weren't.
yeah, I
Were
think
we?
so. Yeah, that was when Sam Lake was there, and you were like, "What is this?" And then they showed Alan Wake. I was like, "This is fucking Alan Wake too."
Oh, I think I
Yeah.
remember.
And then he said that it was going survival horror at that point, and I was like, "Fuck yes, this was the best decision they could have made for this franchise." Because obviously, I think that will cater to more people than the original game. The original game's
Right.
a lot more, unique, I guess, or not unique. That's not the right word, but a lot more niche, I guess. I'll say. So yeah, I'm very excited as well. This is cool.
I'm scared.
No other thoughts, huh? Gage? No, nothing.
It looks good. I'm just after the Callisto Protocol. I'm keeping my cards close to my chest.
Okay, wait a
come on.
minute.
We heard
Two
Mr.
different-
Macias talk with such certainty about the Callisto Protocol.
I know it's
Alright.
anything.
We were optimistic about Callisto Protocol. We weren't certain.
I
We're
don't
fucking
know.
certain about Alan
I'm
Wake
pretty
2.
certain about this one.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
keeping my eye on you two
Yeah.
from now on. All right, I'm not taking
Also-
anything for granted.
Also, I just want to say this to be out there. I'm sorry, Christian. I'm not on your the same page as you. I'm as excited for Alan Wake 2
That's
as
fine.
I am as Spider-Man 2. It's equal.
I've just had so much horror in my mind for the past year since Signalis. I've been like surrounding myself with horror that like I still want more. And the Callisto Protocol left such a sour taste in my mouth that like getting a AAA Resident Evil 4 remake also was really good, but like I've played RE4, Getting something new, something from Remedy, by the way, that's survival horror. Like the first one was very inspired by Twin Peaks. This one even more so. Like everything about this game is like speaks to me. I know Spider-Man 2 is going to be good. I'm expecting that game to be like, 9 out of 10, and that's like the low end, like I know that game is
Right.
going to be fucking awesome. I'm going to have so much fun playing it. I want something that is really going to stick with me and resonate. And I'm going to be like shutting down the curtains and my lights and like nearing Halloween. Like let's immerse myself in like a very horrifying game for the next like 2 hours before bed.
Hell yeah!
You're right. You
Now I'm
should
getting excited. We'll see. Now I'm getting excited about it.
you should have played Dead Space remake instead of Callisto Protocol.
He did. He bet in the wrong.
Hey,
horse.
you know what? That's a good point. I didn't buy. Yeah, I'm waiting for a sale.
That's fair.
Did they change the Alan Wake 2 date? Didn't they change it to like
Yes.
next year?
Yes, by a week, I think, right?
2 weeks,
Oh,
I think.
a week. Okay.
Or
2
maybe-
weeks?
or 10 days. I think it was 10 days. Something stupid.
Yeah, it was supposed to be before Spider-Man, and now it's after.
No.
After. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
27th of
thought
October.
it got pushed to next year for some reason, but okay, that's not much.
I just jumped into well, I guess this is from last week. This is already dated, so never mind. No updates this week from the fantasy draft check-in. Although I'll just say this for me and Ro. Hey man, we got to pick up some games before the end of the year,
Yeah.
and we also got to decide on a counter pick. 'Cause I think you and I are missing some. Gage is missing 2 of them, which means he'll lose 30 points out of his current 45.
Oh,
Uh,
that's really gonna stifle my chances of winning.
Hey man, it's not over till it's over.
it's not Jover yet. Before we get into the topic of the show, let's talk about what you got from me, starting with Dan the Man.
Yes, I've been playing, of course, more Starfield. Still enjoying it, still having a good time with it. I think we had a little conversation about this in our chat, but I don't think thus far, I don't think it's like one of my top tier Bethesda games, like Fallout 3, Skyrim, that kind of thing. But for me personally, right now, it's hitting on about the Fallout 4 level, which I enjoyed Fallout 4. It didn't have as much specialness as the other games, Skyrim and Fallout 3 for me, but I still very much enjoyed that, and it is very much a Bethesda game. I feel like in the writing and the quests and the dialogue, and for good and bad, I guess it is a
Yes.
Bethesda game. So if you haven't liked Bethesda's previous games, then you probably won't like this game. But if you like those games, I feel like this game should hit for you. Not to say it doesn't have its own gripes. I talked about some of those last week. I know you weren't here, Christian, but yeah, very much enjoying it thus far. I think another week in, I think again I'm gonna go back to like one of the most and of course I'm only about 10 hours in maybe right now in total. But thus far I haven't found any really unique locations that I've visited that have resonated with me, where I'm like, man, this is fucking awesome. Like, Megaton from Fallout 3, or Rivet City, or Nuka World from Fallout 4. Like, just like iconic areas that I'm just like, this is fucking incredible. Which, not to say there may be some coming, but thus far I haven't really hit that threshold thus far. But
I'm not at Neon City yet, but I hear people really enjoy that segment.
Well, okay. I'm excited then.
So actually, for some clarification on that, Dan, I actually agree with you. Unfortunately, as somebody who's beat the game now and is on my second playthrough, and the Neon City thing, for me personally, I think people are using that as a marker in terms of story, and when the story gets interesting, Neon City is kind of cool. But there hasn't and like I said, I've beaten the game on my second playthrough now, and I'm enjoying it as well. But I haven't had a single moment comparable to Megaton or to any of those, like you said, Dan. These iconic, not even set pieces, but just going to this sort of place and seeing the design of it and being like, wow, this is really cool, and having something that sticks in your mind. Unfortunately, I have not seen anything like that yet in this either, which is kind of a bummer.
I sent a DM to Gage about this privately about 2 weeks ago. Did you guys talk about the casino last week? Have you seen the casino?
Yes.
Daniel?
The casino?
Did you talk about this?
No, I don't think so.
No, we didn't talk about it, but I came across that just dicking around in my early playthroughs. Yeah, I mean, it's not a mission or anything. It's just kind of a thing you can come across.
Dan, I'm largely with you. I tried playing more Starfield last week, but I was too sick. I couldn't sit on my PC. My head was like throbbing for a week. But in terms of exploration, I haven't like done a lot of major exploration outside of like the tailor-made stuff that you're supposed to be following. It seems a little bit empty when I leave and go off to do other things. So I've largely been kind of avoiding it, since I've heard from Twitter people that's like exploration really isn't its strongest suit to kind of stick to the kind of like main quest kind of stuff, or some side quests. But there was some stuff that I've felt very much like design intentional, and this is what I'm referencing right now, the casino that I messaged Gage about. I was on my way to do a main quest, and I had to jump a couple systems apart, and I didn't have enough fuel to make that hyper jump to where I needed to go. And so you need to pick a close system nearby. And so once I did, when I hyper jumped there, I landed in front of a planet with like a floating space station in front. And it was only 1,000 meters away. And I was like, you know what? This is interesting enough for me to be like, okay, I can fly there in a matter of seconds. I can check this out. I go in, and this is the first time I'm realizing, I'm in like a place that usually when I dock on these things, gravity takes hold and I'm walking. I'm entering this place flying. Like I'm like using my jetpack to go into this space station. I'm like, what's going on? And you hear like commotion, and you turn the corner, and space pirates have taken over a zero gravity casino. And I'll kind of just stop there. But like this whole little thing, that side adventure, if you want to even call it that, just a little floating space station in orbit, it was about 30 to 45 minutes of my gaming time for the night. And I had like a lot of fun doing this kind of side activity. But it felt like very much like, hey, I think players will maybe have a chance to like land in front of this planet when they warp here on their way to do the main quest. And that kind of stuff, I think, from Starfield's kind of like their design part, I think does work a little bit, even if the exploration kind of falls apart for me.
Right.
Keurig says Starfield is so hot. I've been having sex with it for weeks.
Whoa,
my God.
Like, should I
That's
say it or not? But,
You did already.
Full goblin mode. Let's go.
and then he says, I like Neon a lot. Have any of you run into a ship called the ECS Constant? And then he says he went in the casino and thought it was fun also. I have not run into that ship.
I've not come into the Constant, no. And what's cool is when you have small features in the game that enhance that. So I had almost the exact same experience you did, Christian, except I had a little bit of spice before that as well, where when you're in your ship and you're flying around, you can target things in front of you. And if you target a space station or a planet, it gives you the option to hail it. And so what I found that same station, and normally when you hail something, somebody comes back on the radio going, "Oh, hey, dock whenever," or like, "Oh, get out of here," blah blah. But I hailed that station and it was just static, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a little interesting."
Oh, that's cool,
right? So then I went there, and then I get in there, I'm like, "Oh, floating around, the life support systems are off, and the gravity's so it's kind of cool." Like they do have that little Bethesda sparkle, and the Bethesda sparkle's there. It's just even these moments, and there's some really great side quest lines, especially the ones that have to do with. There's a whole. I think it's funny. We all memed on it before the game came out, but the quest line that involves you being an undercover agent is actually really, really good and really long as well. And that's the type of stuff that Bethesda is known for. But it's just the other games, they had that stuff, and they also had these really memorable locations. And I think that's kind of what Dan is speaking to. And it does feel like that aspect is missing from this one.
I also want to add real quick, because I don't know, I missed Starfield Discourse last week. I read that you can join all the factions. You're not tied to one specifically, so you're encouraged to just join all of them. So I said, screw it. I'm already near my that home planet on. I forget the name right now. Starts with a J.
Jemison. Yeah.
On Jemison. And I put my stuff away in my little hold, and I was like, I'm right by the UC like headquarters. Should I sign up for the faction? I'll probably just talk to this dude, and it'll take me a second. But you have to go through like this whole thing. And I went through with Sam Coe. So I went to the museum.
Yep, I did.
And then I'm listening to all this stuff with Sam Coe with me.
Yep.
And he's taking the tour with me, and he's interrupting part of it to chime in with his like, "Oh, look at this like propaganda bullshit."
Right.
Like here's what actually happened. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I would have missed that if Sam Coe wasn't with me. It's kind of nice.
They do that with a lot of their games. Like they have really cool interactions with if you have a specific companion that's relatable to that area, and that same moment you're talking about, I experienced as well. Is very, very cool.
Yeah.
And this paints a perfect picture of what I was trying to say with Bethesda games, where it's like I totally understand that somebody could pick this game up expecting Insomniac Spider-Man or expecting God of War Ragnarok and be like, "Oh, this is a little weird," but like it's the reason it doesn't look like that is because they have all these subsystems and systems underneath it, and that could not be worth it for you. And that's why when we were talking about this privately, like I was like, the more I play this, the more I could see somebody giving this like a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, or whatever. But if you're somebody who values lore built, like universe building and like lore, and you nerd out about that kind of things, that museum segment was awesome. I was like, this is so cool. And if you're somebody who just cares about a main story, that wouldn't do anything for you. And I think that's totally fine. That's where like the subjective kind of differences come in. But like that's my weakness. I love universes that feel real and that feel lived in. And so when I hit that museum segment, I was like, this is fucking awesome. And what's really cool is I did that solo. I had no idea that if you brought Sam Coe, he would chime in. But like knowing what the museum talks about and knowing which faction Sam Coe is, I can already imagine the kind of stuff that he would pipe in. Like that's so cool. That's the Bethesda charm right there. There it is.
I wanted to add something else that like made me stop for a second. Is I went through about 60% of the museum, and I was like, all right, fuck, I gotta move on here.
Right.
And I went to the simulation, and then when you get back upstairs to like debrief about your rating that you get, they mentioned like how long you stayed at the museum. He's like, "Oh, you like mostly went over," and I was like, "Oh, hey, let's try." I didn't do the whole thing, and he mentioned it.
It's cool in that little simulation. You can do like a Kobayashi Maru thing, and you can tamper with the controls of the simulation.
And they encourage it.
Cool.
They encourage it even because when you finish, he's like, "Yeah."
He's like, "Oh, you're adventurous or industrious or whatever he says." Yeah.
Very cool.
Starfield,
man.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you guys a question about Starfield with how like we were talking about before it came out, and how the industry was talking about it before it came out being the most important game for Xbox and has to hit and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about how games don't have to hit. It's like not the end of the world if they don't, especially for a company like Xbox. But for you guys individually who have played it, did it like live up to that, the most important game? Did it deliver on that front? Is it like, did it meet your expectations, I guess I should say? Or is it still not as hype as it seemed like it was going to be when we were talking about before?
Well, those are two different things. Some people were expecting this to be the game to save Xbox and to be the end all be all. I wasn't expecting that, and that's not it for me. For me, it is living up to the expectation of being the next Bethesda experience. I am getting that feeling. Again, Dan put it perfectly, not quite to the levels of, he's a Fallout 3 guy, I'm a Fallout New Vegas guy. Not quite to the levels of New Vegas, not quite to the levels of Skyrim. But for my first playthrough of 4, which is the game that I've replayed the least, and I haven't really replayed it a lot, but the feeling that I had on that initial playthrough, that Bethesda wonder, I definitely do have that. It's living up to that. It's giving me the feelings that I wanted to get playing this, for sure.
Gage, I just want to put this on the record. I am a Fallout 3 and New Vegas guy, but New Vegas was made by Obsidian, so that's why I didn't.
And they did it better, which is crazy.
That's fair. Yeah, they took the bones of Fallout 3 and made it better. I agree.
Fallout 3 is fantastic. You'll get no argument from me. Fallout 3 is fantastic.
Obsidian is fantastic. Let's get some of that Outer Worlds action.
I still have yet to play that.
Fantastic.
See, and Outer Worlds does the same thing that fucking Starfield does and all the Bethesda games do. It takes your companions, and when you take them in certain situations, they react to those situations. So that's, Outer Worlds, I love that game.
I should play Outer Worlds. You know what it is? It's the smallest thing sometimes. And it's not even like it's a hill I'm dying on. It's just, sometimes it just takes something to make me miss the launch window, and then it just kind of gets put in the back shelf. But they said that it was first person only, and I was like, that's kind of stupid. Like that style, and I know it's a different franchise, and they have the right to do that. But like in that style of Bethesda game, I always play it the same way. I switch to first person when I'm indoors, and I switch to third person when I'm outdoors, and that's just kind of like my thing, and that's my habit. And as soon as they said it's first person only, and you can't see your character and like the armor that you find, I'm like, kind of took me out of it. But I do need to play Outer Worlds. I've heard nothing but good things.
And I only play first person, so that's why I was like,
insane.
That's my
crazy
preferred way to play.
That is disgusting. I'm gonna move on to Row. You play anything?
I played a little bit of F-Zero 99. Switch online game. I did not win. I learned how terrible I am at that game, but I'm enjoying it. But it's still getting it's no Mario Kart, so I still have to learn how that game controls. But it's fun. It is definitely fun.
You're hitting the sides a lot, weren't you?
Hitting the sides a lot, bouncing off of people, just exploding left and right. But it is fun, like getting the hang of it, because I don't know that game very well. Learning it and trying to master it has been enjoyable, at least. But that is it. I think that's all I played this week.
Bro is microdosing video games.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hell yeah, you'd love to see it.
Only thing for me is because I was sick, I wasn't playing anything. Except for the weekend, my girlfriend and I were playing competitive Overwatch until I got a rank, and I'm Platinum 2.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. As Ash?
Ash, Cassidy, and Sojourner are my 3 that I switch around.
I was worried you were going to say that you were playing something else.
Oh my goodness. Minecraft.
Yes,
code?
Minecraft. Yeah.
Gage, what do you got this week?
I'm going to dedicate my entire time to not what I've been playing, but a story that for 2 weeks now we've not put on. Dragon's Dogma 2. I've been watching Dragon's Dogma 2
that's right. That was
footage,
sure.
and it looks fantastic, and it looks incredible. And I've been thinking about playing it, so I've been playing it pretend in my mind until it comes out, and it looks fantastic. And I'm having a great time with it. I'm thinking into the future, and I'm having a great time playing it.
I saw a headline that said Dragon's Dogma 2 looks like more of the same, but that's a good thing.
And it's the same thing like when Dan and I talk about Halo and why I think Halo is one of those franchises that I want to stay the same, is that Dragon's Dogma, this is only the second one, and the first one came out 10 years ago. So if it's exactly the same and everything else has just been updated to modern times, you don't have it. Like I don't have a chance to get sick of it because we just have the one game, and now we're getting another one that looks like Resident Evil 4 and it plays exactly like the one that we had. Like that's just that's exactly what I want. Now, if this was Dragon Dogma like 6 and we've gotten 5 of them beforehand and it was the same thing, then that's when people like I feel like it's fair to start complaining. But for me, thank God, I'm so happy it's exactly the same.
Hey, last week did you guys talk about how impressive the fast traveling was in Spider-Man 2?
Yes,
We did not know.
Yeah,
I don't think
we
did
Thank
we?
you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Hey, Dan always knows.
Yeah, well, we talked about it.
Just wanted to say it's impressive.
I've not played the game yet, so I don't know.
Spider-Man 2? I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
videos. All right,
They could have
enough.
edited that.
All right, I'm moving into the topic of the show. We got a bombshell of a news item. This happened mere hours before starting, around 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, via Bloomberg first, that Jim Ryan is stepping down. That's what it first started with. And then another journo was like, I'm hearing from one person it's something else. I'm going to go confirm. And then within a couple minutes, PlayStation had tweeted out a retirement announcement, which reads, one moment. Jim Ryan thanks the PlayStation community as he announces his plans to retire from Sony Interactive Entertainment in March 2024. Jim Ryan has been with the company over 30 years, and he is finally taking time to step down. Okay, how should I put this? It is not... We're pretty open on this podcast about Jim Ryan, specifically that we don't necessarily think he's a very good person.
Right.
I will reiterate that time and again. I also don't think he was very good for Sony, specifically where it looks like they're leading. I think a change in presidency is going to be a good thing, depending on who they get. I know there's an interim currently, but I'm talking about 2024 for long term. Right. My question is like, how much faith do we have in the actual retirement announcement? Is it an actual retirement? He's an older guy. He's been with the company a long time. Maybe he sees that PlayStation has had its success and now it's time for him to step down. That's a possibility. But I don't know. This coming like Wednesday afternoon, just hearing things via Bloomberg at first. I don't know. The inner tinfoil in me is like, is he actually retiring? Is there a little bit of like a forced via internal being like, what, we're not very happy with the way things are going with our kind of live service aspect of it. It's not really hitting the ground yet as quickly as we wanted to, blah, blah, blah. What are you guys thinking when you see that Jim Ryan's stepping down?
For me personally, I don't think that it's him I don't think it's him being fired or anything like that, because I feel like if he was being forced out, it would be a little bit there would be more scuttlebutt around it, I feel like, other than he's retiring. Obviously this is still very fresh, but also the other thing is like Jim Ryan's made PlayStation a lot of money. Like it's not like PlayStation's in a dire state right now in terms of financials, and I think that's all that Sony really would care about, the bottom dollar at the end of the day, and their shareholders. So obviously he's made them shitloads of money. So I don't think it's a force out situation like you said. It feels more like,
hey, I'm here just to pose the questions, to throw it out. People are going to speculate. People have been already,
Yeah, that's fair. There's been people, crying about him leaving, apparently, according to Gage, our inside source here.
Look, nothing high profile, but I saw a couple people that are like adjacent to the Kind of Funny community say like, oh, you know what? Well, he did a pretty good. I'm like, let's not do this. Let's not do this whole let's be positive about everybody. Like you can just say no.
Toxic positivity.
We can just say good riddance, right? It's fine. You don't have
or
to
not
like,
anything if you don't want to be mean.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to lie.
Right. Right. Well, here's a little bit of speculation for you, Christian. I don't think I agree with Dan wholeheartedly. Like on pen on paper, he's done the company good. Like they've remained there. They've remained. Not only have they remained in first place, I think they've actually widened the gap a little bit. PlayStation's done very, very well. And part of that is because of his anti-consumer focus that he has. My curious thing is that, either his reasoning of not wanting to work in America. Sure, totally. I wouldn't want to be there, I guess. too. I don't know.
Nice.
But my other thing is like, okay, well, maybe he was really right. Maybe he's worried about the Activision Blizzard merger, right? Like, I mean, we don't know what the internals of PlayStation looks like. Maybe that is a huge part of their revenue, and maybe before the tide starts turning, he's thinking, you know what, I could call it quits now, and my legacy as CEO of Sony Entertainment would be just widening the gap that we've had. Because maybe, again, we don't know what's going on. We know that a lot of people have tried to stop this merger for maybe for good reasons, maybe for bad reasons. But I can't. That's where my inner tinfoil goes. Is that maybe this is kind of like a shit. We really just lost the golden goose, and it might not affect us right away, but in 2-3 years, right? Right around. I mean, well, that's the funny thing. We'll probably start seeing the effects of this merger right around the next console launch. So for me, that kind of lines up where he might be like, you know what? Maybe somebody else can deal with this problem that is going to arise in 2 to 3 years, possibly.
If we're going to continue that thought, what is the answer to for Sony for Microsoft's ABK Activision? And the answer might be, with Call of Duty games like Overwatch, WoW, that's a live service, right? So the answer to that, let's make our own live service with our own first party studios. And maybe Jim Ryan's looking at this after a couple of years of planning, being like, I don't know if I like where this is going. Right. I don't know if I can successfully lead that kind of champion this over the next couple of years. Maybe it's time for me to get out now. And let the next guy take care of it. You might be onto something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. All those examples you just listed, all Activision, all Blizzard, right? That's the thing.
I mean, that's why I said them.
I know, but right, and maybe he's looking, and I think you're exactly right. Like maybe it's a little bit of column A, column B with what you're saying, where maybe people, shareholders, whoever, are looking at, or not shareholders, but maybe other C-suite people are looking at his acquisition of Bungie, looking what's on the table, and they're going, yeah, this looks good, but this isn't going to compete with what now our direct competitor has in their back pocket. Yeah, I think that could be it.
I saw somewhere that someone was comparing the Activision Blizzard acquisition to Bungie and saying that Bungie was a more valuable acquisition, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're talking about a fucking hundreds of $1 million company versus a fucking $70 billion company. That's not even the same ballpark.
I think they're dancing on the line there where it's like valuable. You can't argue value in terms of money, but maybe they're like, oh, well, PlayStation really wants this expertise, so Bungie's more valuable to them. It's like, okay, I guess you could make that argument, but no, not at all in the same way in terms of how CEOs really think about it, right?
If it is something, I feel you guys mentioned the live service thing, and that maybe that's not going super well. It'd be interesting to see if whoever does replace him in March 2024, if that gets rolled back or if they continue with that. Obviously, we don't see the fruits of that, but I'm interested to see if the things that he's put into place will continue, even though a lot of us who have been following it are kind of turned off by a lot of the things that he's been planning. So it'll be interesting to see if PlayStation still does it with them gone.
I'm gonna tell you right now, in March 2024. Okay, it would take some time to put this out there. So let's say 2025. I better be seeing like, here's the back catalog of PS3 games and PS2 games now made available for PS5 Pro. We got a lot on Legacy. Like, it feels like Sony has abandoned a little bit of its like history a little bit. Yeah, we got a couple of remasters, right? But like, there are so many, like, there's a huge wealth of games that like made PlayStation what it is today, and we just like have no access to them.
Yep.
And if they do stuff like that, so many things that they've already put into place would have to be reworked, like PlayStation Plus and the Essentials and the classic stuff that they do. That is technically what they're excusing as like, that's how you get your backlog of games. You have to pay us for that kind of stuff. So if somebody does come in and wants to do what you're saying, Christian, like, what's the point of getting PlayStation? Well, besides to play online, it just loses a little bit of value if they do the right thing and let us have access to our old games.
You can ask that right now. What's the point of getting it right now for $80 a year or whatever it is?
Well,
nothing.
And like for all the people that own all those discs for previous generations, like I have fucking original Xbox and Xbox 360 discs still that fucking work on my Xbox Series X. Like
you can put an Xbox One game disc into your Series X and it will read it natively and run the game natively.
Yeah,
That is wow.
It's crazy. What we're gonna need to Christian's point, I think we're gonna need somebody like a Sean Layden or a Phil Spencer. Somebody who, while still being a CEO and probably is a certain type of person in order to make it in that world, at least somewhat either pretends or at least is vaguely interested in the thing that they're actually selling to get that. Because I still believe wholeheartedly there's no way that PlayStation can't figure out native backwards compatibility, right? It's just in my mind, it's very clearly just terms of money. Jim Ryan is not the guy. He said himself, word for word, who cares who wants to play these old games? It's very much a matter of just allocating the resources to figure it out. The cell machine is not, the cell processor is not the enigma, all right? It's not this crazy otherworldly tesseract that they can't figure out. People have figured out how to emulate it on PC. So this next person that gets there, I hope we see all those things. I hope we see the Vita 2. I hope we see these cool things that people actually want.
You're exactly right too, Gage, because literally that happened with Xbox because Phil Spencer said originally that backwards compatibility was not possible. And
you're right, yes.
2 years later, we got full backwards compatibility.
Right.
So, you can do it if you put your mind to it, Sony.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's my takeaway as well. That's my final thought is I agree with Gage. I think getting someone at the head of the company who is very much at least less suit-centric than Jim Ryan is, and a little bit more gamer-focused, like Sean Layden was. It feels like Sean Layden was a little bit, I think of the smaller heads like Adam Boyes, like Shuhei Yoshida, these kind of people that like really care about like the gamers as well. On top of like being very much professionals and they running like a business, still very much like the focus on the actual people who are using their product, us, the gamers. I think would make for someone who, in my eyes, is a bit better suited to fit the PlayStation that I want to see moving forward, not the one that we've been seeing for the past couple of years.
Right. And important to remember, too, a lot of these games that, like I said, some of the things I've been seeing on Twitter, people attributing to Jim Ryan. A lot of these games were actually greenlit under Sean Layden. So lots of, even all the way up to, I think, like around Ghost of Tsushima is like when you start games after that, maybe you can make the argument, but like a lot of the games like Ratchet and Clank, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, these games that people love, it's like those weren't greenlit under him. He just came in and he had no other option to let those. If you were to come in and cancel those things halfway through, people would be pissed, right? So
yeah,
it's hard to know. It's hard to look at the PlayStation ecosystem and really, if you really sit down and think about it, what did Jim Ryan do that was better for the brand? And again, like you said, Christian, he's a spreadsheet CEO. He made the company a lot of money, but when you, as a consumer, look at what he's done, there hasn't been a whole lot of good things for us that he's done. So,
right. I agree.
Bro, this is completely off topic, but Glenn has posted a challenge in the chat. He says, Ro, we have to play now because I disagree. And
he didn't provide any further context.
Oh, I'm sorry. I read the wrong comment. Ro, do you play Mario Kart much? If yes, hit me up with that friend code, square up. And then I said in the chat as PXN, I said that we know Ro would win. And then he said he disagrees. Yeah.
Damn.
Ro, I would beat your ass.
I don't think either of you would beat me in Mario Kart.
Wow.
Damn. What? I like this, Ro, dude.
Ro. I need to know. Did you even beat 200cc?
I didn't do all the. Okay, I didn't do all the. I played it, but I didn't do all the the entire Grand Prix. Did you? Did you do all of them?
Come on, dude.
3 stars.
He's dodging the question. He didn't say yes.
No, not all of them.
No, exactly. There it is.
Yes,
we need this battle to happen.
It is tough, but yeah, I mean, that's fair. I haven't done all of 200, so maybe Glenn has. Maybe he has an upper hand on both of us.
Glenn hasn't even done 150.
But my Rosalina on the blue ATV with thin black wheels would kill you guys.
Hey, my Inkling boy on standard everything is just fine.
Just above standard.
Just above standard. I can give you my friend code, Glenn. I have not played Mario Kart in a while, but I would be down.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your pods. Folks, thank you, Roshan. Thank you, Christian. That's me. Thank you, Gage. That's him. And that's Daniel. And this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out.
Much love and keep on gaming.
Watch out for the cold this year.
Chew.
Make sure you double check who's coming to your nation's capital.
See ya.
Oh.